Oh man, this story is, I could tell you right now that this story will not end good, okay? But stick around for the details. So, police are currently on the hunt for a boyfriend of a 22-year-old young lady from Brooklyn whose name was Dacia Johnson. And her body was found stuffed in two suitcases Wednesday, September 21st, inside her Cypress Hill apartment. Hit that subscribe button. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified every time we put up a new video on this channel. And we normally follow these stories all the way through to where the perpetrator is found, arrested, tried, and convicted, and you get to see the outcome of this case if it happens that way. Okay, so like I said before, police are currently on the hunt for the boyfriend of a 22-year-old Brooklyn resident, Dacia Johnson, whose body was found stuffed in two suitcases on Wednesday, September 11th, in her Cypress Hills apartment. ABC News reported that suspicions began to arise due to a foul smell that was going throughout the building. They were trying to figure out what apartment this foul smell was coming from, which residents reported to a security guard. They also noted that the woman in question, the one that was found in the two suitcases, had not been seen for several days. She was also well known inside of her building. As a security attempt to check her sixth floor apartment for signs of foul play, they were stopped at the door by the woman's 23-year-old boyfriend, who allegedly lived in the apartment with her occasionally. This was not his permanent address. She had her apartment. He stayed there a lot. The security guard was barred from entering by her boyfriend. The guard then went back downstairs to call the police, and he noticed that the suspect and a possible male accomplice, as he described it, were both exiting the apartment with a suspected bag of evidence. Security then returned to the apartment to find the woman's remains in a bloody bathroom. Her body was dismembered and her body was forced into two suitcases. A meat cleaver was also found laying next to the remains, possibly the weapon that was used to chop her into pieces. Johnson had a valid order of protection against this same boyfriend until the end of the month in which she was found dead. Until the end of this month. So at the end of this month, that protection order would have expired. With neighbors and friends, Stephanie Harris telling the Post that many tenants were aware that she was in an abusive relationship. Matter of fact, it was said that everyone in the building knew that she would get beat up by her boyfriend on a regular basis because they would see them fighting or they would hear them fighting. And what sounded like she was in distress a whole lot. Of course, everybody is going to say, well, why didn't they call the police all those times? We don't know if they called the police. We know that there was some effort from her to try to separate herself from him. Hence, the valid order of protection that was still open at the time of her death. If she has a valid order of protection, which she did, why did the security guard meet him, her boyfriend, coming out of the apartment when he went to check on her? One person said for 2 years, He has been beating on her. He broke her apartment door down. He broke her legs. He broke her ribs. Her mom was complaining, I want her to get away from this building. She's gonna end up dead. Please get her away from this building. But nobody wasn't listening, is what the person said. A couple of months ago, she came back with crutches, hobbling on crutches. He broke her apartment door down. He broke the TVs in her apartment. And I cried and I said to her, I said, listen, I don't want to see you on the news. Leave him. Johnson's family believes that building security shares some of the blame in the aspiring teacher's horrific murder. Why? They know their tenants. They opened the door for him, the victim's aunt told the Post. She didn't have no other boyfriend. She didn't do enough. They didn't do enough. They could have prevented him from coming into the building. Their security, they're trained to put somebody down. There are ways to stop him from coming in. Her auntie is mad. But we both know, and we all know, that that's not how it really works. Because if security gets to know her very well, as her aunt says, they know the tenants, and they see him with her all the time, it can sometimes get to a point where you've developed some kind of a rapport with the security. So the next time the security sees you without her, and the security goes, oh, you're going up to you're going up to her apartment, up to your girl's apartment, or you're going up to your apartment. The security does not know the details of the lease. He doesn't know that if you've been added to the lease or you've been taken off the lease. If he's seen you all the time with the person who owns the apartment, it's easy to assume that you're coming under good intentions and you're allowed to be there. She should have told the security, don't let him in. Anyway, she went on. She said, this is really hard. She was a victim. She was full of life. I was trying to help her. I tried to step in. I pretty much raised her most of her life. I heard of one incident between them and I told her, this is not love. It's not going to get any better. It will only get worse. Please get yourself out of this. The incident she heard about was a famous incident in the building where another person said he broke her legs. He broke her ribs. He broke down the door to her apartment. He broke all the TVs in her apartment. He broke the entire apartment, everything in it. Sounds like a psycho to me. In these situations, man, you don't even know what to say. Some women try to get away because there are a lot of people that are going to say, well, why did she stay in the relationship? Well, some women tried to get away, but they have nowhere to go. It's like living in New York is very expensive. I don't know how her apartment was being paid for. Was it Section 8 or was it she was working and paying for her own apartment? But if it's Section 8, they don't just move you overnight. If it's her working and paying, she has a lease. She would have to go break that lease. She would have to pay to break the lease. She would have to go find somewhere else to live. She would have to be paying for that other place she found to live in order to get away from him. She took out a protection order. She was supposed to be protected. A lot of women take out protection orders and then they themselves end up violating the same protection order that they took out by listening to sweet lies from the person that abused them. Oh, baby, I'm sorry. I never meant to do that. I won't do it again. I apologize. I swear to God I won't do it again. And then they do. And then I won't do it again. And then they do. And then it gets so serious that you need a protection order, but they come with the same lies and you do the same thing you normally do. Listen to them and forget your protection order and let them in. However, I don't think she intended to let him into that apartment. Like her auntie said, the security who verifies who gets in and out of the building let him into the building. Also, sometimes when other tenants know you coming in and out of the building, sometimes you just wait for them downstairs, and as they walk into the building, the door is open, so you just walk in behind them. She was probably ambushed, as in he got access, came into the building, waited for her to open her door, pushed his way in. She was a young lady who lived by herself. He pushed his way into the apartment, surprising her, and did what he had to do then, and then called for help to have someone help him dismember the body and dispose of the body. It's sad that this ended this way. Some people are asking, why are you doing this story? Does she have any connection with the Caribbean community? I'm sure somebody wants to know, and the answer is, I don't know. I have connections with Brooklyn or with New York, so this right here is pretty close to home. And also, there's a lesson here. Run, leave, get out, flee, disappear, protection order, and obey it. I'll let that one sit. I'll catch you on the next video. Hit that subscribe button. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified every time a video goes up on SouFLoTV. I hope they catch him. I hope they give him the max time in prison. That's all cliche. For those who are still living, let this be an example of what not to do and precautions you need to take. Get away before it's too late. I'm out. Rest in peace, Dacia Johnson.